I'm back for WS's ongoing coverage of Fragicago 2023, and I'm here actually behind the camera for once. And guess who I found? I found Steve Sasquatch, the man himself, the uh, founder, CEO, president for life of the Fragadelphia empire. So let me ask you, for a CS2 event, how do you feel about how it went?
Uh, I think it went well. I think we were satisfied with the turnout. I think the amount of teams that are high quality showed up. We're really thrilled with that. I think the event went well. The first day, a little hiccup with servers. That's to be expected on it's a new game, even though it's not an old game. But after that, I think day two went really good. We were done around 8:30. Day three just ended. I mean, it's 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I think we're really happy with the performance of our organization. So hope everybody at home really enjoyed it.
And so, with one event now under your belt, under the new independent Fragadelphia once again, we sort of had a we had a very lengthy interview when the relationship with Nurse Street came to an end. What was that? So since then, there was a long period of time between when we talked about bringing Fragadelphia back and when it finally came back. What was that road to return the road to the return like?
Yeah, I mean, we were ready to come back, I think, around June. Our original intentions were to be, when CS2 came out, to be launched right when the game came out. We saw the ad, in late spring of a summer launch. We thought it was going to be coincide sometime in June or July, and obviously it didn't. So we don't like doing games in events with games that just released. So obviously having it released in September really got us scared that we wouldn't be able to execute right away. So we think the date we chose was good. The road was hard. I think going dormant for about a year plus really hurts when it comes to partners and sponsors and going out to the market. You have to put almost be back to zero and reset, and proof of concept has to be done again. And I think this event is a great example of what we provide to the community. We're that semi-professional amateur tournament that is community-based but still high quality.
And that I think that quality really shows in what you guys are able to put together on. I mean, to be completely honest, like a fairly shoestring budget. But it comes down to a lot of enthusiasm from people in the community. You had a lot of volunteer casters coming. You had a lot of people who volunteered their time to the product. Does that How does that feel to you that Philadelphia still has that sort of cultural cachet, even with people who are too young to have even who were in middle school when Philadelphia one first happened?
Yeah, I think I've been around the industry a long time. I played so long, and then I started working full time in 2014 in gaming, and all the early years of like CS, so much volunteer work was done. I mean, it's a passion project for a lot of people. Even now, we're not talking. Most people do not make money and compensated to play or work in this field. Um, I think getting a lot of these new people that I've never met before to come out and ask if they can volunteer or give their time or just be involved is really promising to me. Um, it's how I started in gaming. I mean, my first working aspect of gaming, not playing, was I worked a LAN tournament in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, during college, and worked 22 hours straight and didn't get paid, didn't get compensated. And the LAN center I worked at gave me a job. Like that was like the beginning. And I think that same sentiment and that same enthusiasm that I had is now reflected with the people who are doing it now. I think we have a handful of dedicated people who are here asking when the next tournament is, when they can get involved again, how we do the next online event, and those are probably the people that once I'm out of here are the people that are going to carry the torch for what we're doing here.
So does that mean with the release of CS2, there's been sort of a mixture of optimism and hesitancy from the community? On one hand, optimistic for the release of a new game and what that could mean, but it must be said we're also in the midst of an esports winter right now, and it's been termed as that. How would you describe sort of your relationship with the future?
Yeah, I think esports winter is it's real. I think we're in this aspect. I mean, every season changes. I think we were in this really hyper growth phase when VCs came into gaming and they're all seeing, the users, and just like any startup, user acquisition is key, and figuring out how you monetize the users and get out, back from the investment is key. And I don't think that esports is mature yet to where it needs to be for everybody who entered the last couple of years to get their investments recouped. And I think esports will be in this. It's almost like we're resetting again in that aspect too. I mean, we are a big user group and a big opportunity to advertisers, to sponsors, to everybody. And I think we need to have realistic expectations. To be honest, I think we're still a decade away from the maturation of what we're doing here, where people are making full-time incomes off of it. I still think we're talking 0.001% will be doing it full-time, and that will change, and jobs will be created off of that work, and people will be able to full-time esports. But being 39 myself, I think having worked full-time in esports the last 10 years in different aspects, I find myself to be an oddity when it comes to the traditional job. And I think we got really overly aggressive as an industry the last couple of years that all those jobs were needed. People were using VC money to hire roles, redundant roles, things that we used to do volunteer-wise, people were paying for, and it just doesn't make sense. So I think we're still going to be fine in the next couple of years. I think if you're interested in esports, you're passionate about it, you want to be here, you're still another decade away from making it a full-time venture. But as millennials become parents, as Zoomers become parents and take the workforce by storm, and we have people in the educational field with esports experience, I could see the traditional sports model really turning into esports, but we're still far away from that.
Do you think so? In some ways, it's always been said by people that like we're 10 years away from the panacea of esports, and I think that's been something that's been said probably since like the year 2000. Is do you, do you see something fundamentally changing in the next 10 years that is going to take us to esports being sustainable and esports being something more people can pursue as full time, or is that just sort of is that just you chasing the dragon?
I see it, the changes primarily through the education system. We've been saying this since 2000, but let's be real here. Like, there wasn't no broadcast systems available to anybody to make their own content. Publishers didn't really see esports as a viable opportunity for them to throw marketing money at it. There wasn't really any of the infrastructure needed to succeed. And with the last couple of years, you can see schools, especially D3 schools in college, really start ramping up esports. In the last year or two, D1 schools are now taking notice to it and building programs that are internalized. The NCAA isn't in it yet, but I think eventually it's almost natural that they end up to it. You have broadcast networks that the conferences were doing, like the Big Ten conference doing esports, right? It just is a progression naturally. Once high school gets there, once high school is doing programs that make sense, two of the volunteers who were here this weekend spoke to me about, Wisconsin has a very robust esports program for high school, and so does Indiana. And I think as more states gets there, it's just natural, and it's going to be all the jobs that traditional sports have, such as, literally like teaching jobs right now, where coaches are, the math professor is a high school soccer coach, right? Right now, it doesn't exist in any of the schools. It doesn't exist right now at a large scale. And once those things are there, I think everything naturally progresses. So I still think the 10-year statement is real, but I think it's for lack of opportunity of nobody's able to do the roles needed to actually get us there. So it's just, I hate saying it, but we're just gonna keep kicking the can down the road. But 10 years just feels realistic. I mean, at the time I'll be 49. A lot of the players who are new here will be in their late 20s, early 30s, and it just is how fast everything changes. I mean, let's just be realistic here. 15 years ago, smartphones didn't exist in the way they do now, and the world has changed so fast, rapidly. Content consumption, the way that like media is portrayed, it's just the trends move that fast. And yes, we keep saying decade, but I really do feel the next decade is the next change that we're all waiting for.
And so let's change sort of the focus to the tangible future. What's next for Fragadelphia in 2024?
Yeah, so we're working with some partners, bringing on like Empowered PC, which is really an opportunity for us because we want to do more events. We know that events are our bread and butter, online, offline. It just makes sense. I think we have a good pulse of the community. For us, we're trying to build this relationship to get more hardware. Hardware is just our biggest fear for us because without computers, you can't run a tournament in person. Without platforms, we can't run tournaments online. So picking up partners in both of those pieces that lets us run both of those will allow us to do, we're looking at doing events every month, either online or offline in facilities just like the Scrim Center one right now, or our own in a hotel ballroom, banquet center, etc. once we get hardware to do it ourselves. The partnership with Empowered will let us do that. And I think you could see us looking at the United States as a map, and we want to be in the 6 regions, if you think about it: the Northwest, the Southwest, the South, the Midwest, the Northeast, and the Southeast. And we want to do an event, at least one every 6 months in those 6 regions. And then from there, we want to do a larger event. All of us boomers remember going back to the CPL in Dallas every 6 months. I think that's something that we aspirationally want to do. And that's not just a tournament with Counter-Strike. We're looking at multiple games. We see DreamHack as doing that. But we feel that, DreamHack is a very large festival. It's an experience. It's something large, but it's not really an amateur-focused tournament. And for us, we are a semi-professional organization that is targeting the more users, the masses. We don't believe in really qualification tournaments, and we'd love to do a 64, 98, 128 team Counter-Strike tournament. The same in other games. We have relationships with Epic, we have relationships with Ubisoft, and relationships with Riot, and we think those games that are first-person shooters we are very good at, and we think we can serve those communities just as well. So 2024, we'll see us probably expanding into other titles a little more heavily. We've dipped our toes in the past, and I think we've done a good job, and I think you'll see us being a little more present. That's us.
And now to close, a lot of people, I guess, to borrow from JFK in a way, it's like, a lot of people say like, what Fragadelphia can do for me, what opportunities can provide to me as a player, as a caster, as as a journalist, right? But what can like the community do more to support Fragadelphia more and help it to be, a successful keystone event for NA?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're interested in helping, we're always willing to take volunteers. We've been very hesitant over the last couple of months of getting people involved other than the live event, just because we want to set proper expectations. We want to let people know we are not truly a business. We are not going to generate profit. Like, we are not able to compensate you for your time as much as we'd love to. But we are taking people on in the next couple of weeks to, expand and grow and build different programs. We are very good, I think, at empowering others. And if somebody wants to help, the community out and like run a collegiate program, or somebody wants to do something that is akin to ESL Impact and, needs help facilitating it, we're here to do that. And I think we can help somebody get to their goals and do that stuff successfully, at a budget price that is relatively affordable for most people. And I think if they want to get involved, they want to get the experience, they want to do that. Most of the people who worked on early Fragadelphia ended up working in the industry full time because they can point to the resume they worked, these events. And I think if people are looking to get their feet, in the door and looking to get the leg up on the competition for those roles, we're able to help them get that. So we'd love to bring on more people. The last thing is some of the people who partner with us at this event, the companies, the sponsors, if you can on social media, shout them out, thank them for getting involved, and that helps us do this more. So I think that is the ask for us, is stay one community and be part of it. So.
All right. Well, I think that closes things off nicely. Thank you for a fantastic event, and I guess long live Fragadelphia in the future. Thank you.